Sorry for the lack of scenery, but I am really tired and about to go to sleep. But something happened at Aria this week that made me think of two other things that happened in Maryland in 2020. So at Aria, this guy goes all in on the river. He had $68. So that's 13 red chips and 3 blue chips, stacked nicely, the blues on top of the reds. The guy in the 7 seat calls him. So the guy who went all in the 1 seat should show first. He says something about missing diamonds and makes it look like he has nothing and he's about to fold. The other guy shows trips, and then the guy in the 1 seat, what a surprise, shows a full house. When the dealer goes to count the chips, he takes the 68 from the 1 seat and moves it over to in front of the 7, like he's just going to stack up 2 stacks next to each other, not count them down and count it out. The 1 seat absolutely snapped when he did that. He said, "No, what are you doing? Bring the chips back here. Never do that. You're a dealer. You should know. Never do that. Bring the chips back in front of me, leave them in front of the player, cut them down, count them out, and then get that amount of chips from the other player." He must have said that about 20 times in the next 5 minutes. He absolutely lost it. The funny thing is that he is so into the dealer following all the rules, but he doesn't need to follow all the rules himself, because when he went all in on the river, he needs to show first. Instead of showing first, he lied, said something about missing diamonds, and induced the other player to show first, knowing, for one, no one in the world thought he would ever go all in with a diamond flush draw. He was way too terrified of playing hands to do that. Also, he induces the other guy to show his cards first, so he gets to see what the guy had, trips, and then shows a full house, knowing the entire time the full house must be good. It was terrible in his mind for the dealer to not follow every single rule as strictly as possible, but it was totally okay for him to angle the 7 seat into showing his cards first when he didn't need to. So, the things that happened in Maryland, and this is the difference between Vegas and Maryland. Vegas, the guy was a jerk, and what he did was intentional and malicious. The stories from Maryland are just funny. The first one, there's a hand where the board is ace, jack, jack, 7. A guy bets 100 on the turn. A guy calls. We end up seeing their hands at showdown. The caller had just a 7, like 7-6. He loses to trip jacks. Okay? Wasn't all that tough to figure out that a 7 probably wasn't good, especially for $100. So a guy not in the hand when the hand is over says to the guy who called 100 with just the 7, "Man, whoa, what are you doing? Why are you calling $100 with just a 7? You know that can't be good." For one, let's not make this player any better. Let's hope he keeps doing this. That's why I didn't say anything. That's why I never say something like that. For two, the guy who is speaking up now, the night before this, he was in a hand against me. I made it $55 pre-flop. He called with 4-3 offsuit. He couldn't possibly think he was ahead. And then on Queen 8-3, I went all in, and he called with his 4-3. Just bottom pair of threes. I mean, I guess it's possible. I have ace-king. I didn't this time. Neither time, pre-flop or flop, could he really think he's ahead. He called both times, and he rivered a 4 for 2 pair, if you're wondering, to beat me. But he's getting on this guy for calling $100 with bottom pair 7s, when the night before, he called $55 pre with 4 high, and then $150 what we had left effective on the flop with bottom pair, the exact same thing. So it's okay for him to do it when he feels like it, but it's not okay for the other guy. I don't think he was really that mad that we weren't seeing great play, it was disrespectful to poker. I think he was more mad that he wanted that $100 to come to him eventually, and he didn't like seeing it so easily go to that guy who had trip jacks. But still, he got on the guy for doing exactly what he did the night before. And the last thing was at Maryland Live. So I sit down at the table, and the hand in progress, This young guy raised under the gun with 5-4 suited, ends up hitting a straight, getting all in 3 ways, and winning. Okay. That's fine. You know, you're allowed to do that, but just, like, be aware that you needed a lot to go your way for all that to happen. Hit that strong of a hand, have it hold up, and get paid by 2 people. So we're playing for a while. There were a lot of times he was betting the flop and getting called by, like, high card. Like, getting called by 1 overcard and, like, some kind of backdoor draw. Not much else. And those guys were hitting exactly what they needed all over the place against him. So after this happens like 5 or 6 times, he snaps. And he goes, could you guys just see the cards? Like, can you see through the deck? Do you know what card is coming on the turn and river? Is that why you guys just keep calling me with ace high with, like, no hand? Because you just know you're absolutely going to get there? So, when he, man, how quickly people forget about when exactly that happened to them. So he says that, and he was sitting right next to me. So after he says that, I asked him, you know, that's exactly what I was thinking when I saw you raise under the gun with 5-4 suited and then river a straight and stack 2 people. Did you know exactly what cards were coming when you decided to raise pre-flop with 5-high? And of course, you never get an answer when you ask questions like that, but he stopped complaining a lot after I said that. So, just now at Aria, like 1 or 2 days ago, the guy snapped in the same hand. He got mad at the dealer for not following the rules, but he didn't follow the rules himself. And then twice back in 2020 in Maryland. Much funnier scenarios, nothing malicious, no angles, no poor etiquette, just funny hands in Maryland where guys got mad at other people for doing exactly what they were doing earlier.